Before I begin with Finnegans Wake Book 2, Chapter 2, I should explain that this chapter is put together in a rather complicated way. There's the main text block down the middle of each page, and that's what I'll be reading. In the right and left-hand margins of each page are obscure pronouncements, and at the bottom of each page are footnotes. The footnotes do not clarify the main text, but represent the voice of the character Issy, daughter of the two main characters, and the words in the margins are the voices of the twins, Shem and Sean, respectively. These are the children of HCE and ALP. HCE, commonly known as Humphrey Chimpton Earwicker, and his wife ALP, Anna Livia Pluribel, are the main characters of the story, which features various other characters, such as the cad with the pipe, in his numerous forms, Kate the cleaning woman, who also serves as tour guide to the Musey Room in Book 1, and most prominently Sean the Post and his brother Shem, who is a stand-in for Joyce himself. If you were under the impression that Tim Finnegan was the main character, you would not be wrong, as Tim Finnegan is but one incarnation of the eternal hero HCE, also referred to as Here Comes Everybody, and 1,000 other names. And from the very first line, see Howth, Castle, and Enverons, his initials HCE repeatedly pop up throughout the text. I grant that it is unfortunate to have to omit parts of the novel. However, I find this particular chapter to be quite lyrical, minus the footnotes and marginalia, which to include would undoubtedly compromise the lyricism, and the lyricism, for me, is the most important aspect of the book. So, without further explanations, apologies, or indeed footnotes, I continue now with the next section of Finnegans Wake, the section sometimes referred to as Triv and Quad, other times as Night Lessons, but which I'll simply refer to as Book 2, Chapter 2. Okay. As we there are, where are we there from Let's try that again. As we there are, where are we there from top to T to tom totalitarian T to oo. Whom will comes over, who to caps ever. And how else do we hook our hike to find that pint of porter place? Am shot, says the biggard. Whence? Quick lunched by our left. Wheel to where? Long Livius Lane, mid Mezzofanti Mall, diagonizing Lavatory Square, up Tycho Brahe Crescent, shouldering Berkeley Alley, quare fixing Gainsborough Carfax, under Guido d'Arezzo's gateway, by New Livius Lane, till where we wild while we withered. Old Vico Round Point, but far be fear, and natural, simple, slavish filial, the marriage of Montan wetting his maul, we know, like any enthusiast cuckling a hoyden in her rougy gypsy-like chinkaminks, pulsing droopy jade in her petsy blues in decto violets. When who was whist was where, en elve et fiel, all the whir of the winds humming us how, his Hume, hence taking tides we haply return, trumpeted by prawns and ensigned with sea kale, to be finding ourself when ode is said in one, and maker mates with maid, oh my, having conned the cones and meditated the mured, and pondered the pencils and ogled the Olymp, and delighted in her Dianaphis, and cachinnated behind his colossus before a mausoleum, length without breadth of him, a chump of the evums, upshoot of picnic or stupor out of soper, cave of kids or Hymenian Gladstoneberg, Deanery, Donnery, Dom, who, entiringly, as he continues, highly fictional, tumulus under his chthonic exterior, but plain Mr. Tumulty and Multi-Life, in his anticipiences, as in his recognizances, is, Dominic Directus, a many-feast munificent, more mob than man. And so, this upright one, with that naughty beside him zeroing, to see in his horoscope he is mercurious than salts of sulphur, terror of the noon struck by day, cryptogam of each nightly bridable. But, to speak broken heaven talk, is he? Who is he? Whose is he? Why is he? How much is he? Which is he? When is he? Where is he? How is he? And what the dickens is there about him anyway, the decept man? Easy, calm your haste, approach to lead our passage. This bridge is upper, cross. Thus come to castle, knock. A password, thanks. Yes, pierce. Well, all be dummed. Oh, really? Who caved in earth white? At first crocked of thunder, when Shu his flutterby was netted and named. Erna crucia requestris wakem, and let lux pures plutera loosey at ease. To house as wise fool ages builded, so big it. Staplering to tether to, stepping stone to mount by, as the boots at Pickard's town, and that skimmelk steed still in the ground loften, as over all. Or be these wing sets lean to the outwalls, beat-skin trophies of booth of balls, the balsam boards, burials be ballyhourized. So let Bacchus's e'en call, in, so let Bacchus e'en call, in, where the babbers ply the pen, the bibbers drang the den, the paplicom, the publican, he's turning 10 for 10. From seldomers that most frequent him, that same erst crafty hake-mouth which under the assumed name of Ignotus Loker of Fagiod harangued belly-hooting fish-trunks on their favourite stamping ground, from a father Theobalder brake, and Egyptus the incense-strobed, as Cyrus heard of him. And Major A. Shaw, after he got the minor smell-pecks, and old Whiteman's self, the blighty blotchy, beyond the bays, hope of Ostrogothic and Ottomanic faith converters, despair of pandemia's post-Wharton plastic surgeons. But is was all so long ago, Hispano-Cathian, Euxine, Castilian, Emiratic, Hebridean, Espanos, Cymric, Hellenicy, rough the ganger, rough the gangster, not a feature alike in the face the same. Pastimes are pastimes. Now let bygones be bygones. Salides erit this working word in mine bjorn, and it will need otherwise since primal made altar in garden of Eden. The tasks above are as the flasks below, saith the emerald canticle of Hermes, and all's loth and plaister, are we told, on excellent ink bottle authority, solar systemized, serial cosmically, in a more and more almightily expanding universe under one, there is rhymeless reason to believe, original sun. Securely judges orb terrestrial, haud certo ergo, but o felicitous culpability, sweet bad cess to you for an archetypt. Honor commercial's energy, yet aid the linkless proud, the plurable with everybody in it with pal, his Ernst of Alsap's ale holiday, of roaring month with its 2 lunar eclipses and its 3 saturnine settings, horn of heathen, high-browsed, brook of life, back frish, amnios amnium, flum neculium flamminulinorum. We seek the Blessed One, the Harbourer cum inheritance, even Cain in the hateful, ever a-going, ever a-coming, between a stare and a sow. Fossilization, all branches, wherefore Petra swear unto Ulma by the mortal's frost, and Ulma swear unto Petra on my veiny life. In these places sojournemos, where ebblin water, least of car and fen, leaving amont her shoals and salmon browses, whom in shore breezes woo with freshets, windeth to her broads. A phantom city, faked of film folk, bowed and sold for a 400 of manhood in their 3 and threescore filkers for a price partitional of 26 and 6. By this riverside on our sunny bank, how buona the vista by Santa Rosa, a field of May, the very vale of spring. Orchards here are lodged, sainted laurels everin buried. You have a hoig view, Ashwald, a glen of marrons and of thorns, glean all and ardeven, purty glint of blazing height. This Norman court at boundary of the ville, yon creepered tower of a church of Ireland, meet for true saints in worshipful assemblage, with our king's house of stone, Belgrove of Mulberry, the still that was mill and cloister that was yeoman's land, the gas-cold tomb-shake of the quick foregone on, the loft-leaved elm Lefenonian above mansioned, each, every, all is for the retrospectioner. Skull, agus skull again, sweet some auburn cometh up as o self-freezing flower, that fragrance of the frazy beds. The phoenix, his pyre, is still flaming away with true partite spirit. The wren, his nest is needling, as the terraces of the Sabines are televisible. Here are the cottage and the bungalow for the cobbler and the Brandenburger, but Iseult, her chaplet gardens, and little plaids of leafest pose. Ride the winnerful wanders off, the winnerful wonderful wanders off, with hedges of ivy and hollyhood and bower of mistletoe are, though if it theme tho, and yeth if you please, for the blithe-haired daughter of Anjoues. All out of 2 barony old perishers, tightened hands and flossy hair, a kiloliter in metromeriums, prosapia, the pad and bowl, one tabard, wine tap, and warm tabard, and, by ribbon development, from Contact Bridge to Lee Slaps, only 2,280,960 radio lumen lines to the worst words of a Finntown's generous poet's office. Distorted mirage, aloofliest of the plain, wherein the buxomness of the Bedelias makes Hobbly Hodge happy in his hole. The Storian charter, Tree-town castle under Lynn, Riverpool, had a break on it, but its piers eerie, its span spooky, its toll but a till, its parapets all parapeteting, doblongs by his by, which we all pass, tons, in our snow, snore, while we hicker words the thicker, shine, shore, which assores us from the murk of the methylated in the bar below her, Bedivere butler tabled round, past morning stops necessity and Harrington's invention, to the clarions of the childlight in the studorium upstarts. Here we'll dwell on homiest powers, love at the latch, with novices nig and nag, the chorus, the principles, for the riff oscillation of their inclination to the manifestation of irritation, dolder boys and doll, after sound, light and heat, memory, will, and understanding. Here, the memories framed from walls are minding, till wranglers for the ring rowdy really are. At gaze respecting 14th baronet meet outre 10th banquerot chaff, and ere commence communicement Catalonic, when Etius check choke will actors gambit, that buxom bruise up, give it a burl. Lead us seek, O June of Eves the geniest, thou who fleest flicklesome with the fond fervid frondier, so thickly thyself attach with thine F-seized and sure undrawer of our unconscionable flicker flapper for our underdrogged. Lead us seek, lot us see, light us find. Let us miss not mera deti, mimosa multi mimetica, the me meaning of me mo meaning. Helpest thou fountain of the Greases, all shall spear thee-ward, from Congan in his catting horse to Nivers hind the knoll. Ausonius, Audacier, and Gale, Gilly Gal, sing-a-ling-a-lang, Storiella as she is young. Whence follow we up, and end speaking knots for yestures, plutonically pursuant on briefest glimpse from glad rags, pretty prosopronet, whose silt statue spilleth peas. Belisha beacon beckon bright, usherette unmesh us, that green ray of Irong, it waves us to yonder as the red, blue, and yellow frogs time on the domisol, with a bluey blow and a windigo, where flash becomes word and silence self-loud, to brace conjurers trebly bounded and asservaged twainly, Adaman, Echmi, Iso si ananushin, and some types eagerly augs weeb. Away, so mag this sibilet be our shibboleth, that we may syllable her well. Vitis may be occluded behind the mow in vito, but Nova will be nearing as they're radiant among the Nereids. One of charmers, aye, una unica charmers, who, under the branches of the elms, in shoes as yet unshent by stoniness, will wend the way of honey myrrh, and rambler roses mist musk, while still there may be mantles the May bloom, or ever her if have faded from the fleur. Their arms enlocked, ring-rang the chimes of sex appealing, as Conchitas with sense does stray. Rung, all thinking all of it, the it with an itch in it, the all every inch of it, the pleasure each will preen her for, the business each was bred to breed by. Soon Jemmy Johns will cudgel about some arithmetic or other about Brown and Nolan's divisional tables, whereas she, of minions novens, charity being Cupid, for mugs wamping, grocers grobbiness, and avarice and grasshoppers grand gaff, with her tutti petty pout of geminfitiu, will sit and knit on sofa, stew of the evening, booksy stew, and a barrack and a boss in the Timbo Theatre. But all is her inborn intent. From grammar's grammar she has it, that if there is a third person, masquerine, philonine, or neuter, being spoken about, it moods prosodes, from a person speaking to her second, which is a direct object that has been spoken to, with and at. Take the dative with his oblative, for even if obsolete, it is always of interest to speak grammar on the impetus of her imperative. Only mind your genderist towards his reflexives, such that I was to your grappa but thousand horror man off, when him was me heeding in mine. What allude he saying, his analectual pygmy hop? There is comfortism in the knowledge that often hate on first hearing comes of love by second sight. Have your little syntax in the dunk of subjunctions, dull and prude and pluriel, but even the aoriest chap around, whatever plaudered perfect anent pretty dots and heg genua omnia may perhaps chance to be about, to be in the case to be, becoming a pale Peter Wright in spite of all your tense accusatives, whilstly your waflured like your gerandiums for the better half of a yearn or sob. It's a wild kitten, my dear, who can tell a wilkling from a warthog. For you may be as practical as is predicable, but you must have the proper sort of accident to meet that kind of being with a difference. Flame at his fumbles, but freeze on his fist. Every letter is a godsend, ardent Ares, brusque Boreas, and glib Ganymede, like zealous Zeus, O mightiest of all. To me or not to me, sat is thy quest on. Where bones sap, jig suis vos war a gentleman thou are, I am a queen. Is a game over? The game goes on. Cook, cook, search me, the beggar, the maid, the bigger the mauler, and the greater the patriarch, the grief for the pinch. And that's what your doctor knows. Oh, love, it is the common knownest thing how it pashes the Plutus and the Pope. Pop. And egg she active or spoon she passive, all them fine clauses and Lindleys and Murrays never brought the particle of a present to a despondent hortatrixie, vindictively I say it, from her post-conditional future. Lumpsum is who lump sum pays. Quantity counts, though accents falter. Yoking apart in oblique orations parsed to one side, a brat Alana can choose from so many, be he a solicitor's appendix, a pipe clerk, or free functionist fly swatter, that perfect little cad, from the languors and weakness of limbers limbed, lassitude till the head, back, and heart aches of waxed up womanage, and heaps on heaps of other things too. Note the respectable Irish distressed ladies and the merry mustard froth blowers of Humphrey's Town associations. Attack first, quicks after. Beware how in that hissed subtale of Schwander lies liaison to tease or riles. To vert and bowed set proper penchant, but learn from that ancient tongue to be middle-old modern to the minute, a spitter that can be depended on. Though Wonderlawn's lost us forever, Alice, alas, she broke the glass, little locker through the leafery, ours is misery of pain, ours is mystery of pain. You may spin on youthlets bike, and multi-please your Mike and Nike, with your Nick shoes on the algebrars, but Vove the Virgil page in view, the O of woman is long, when burly those two muters sequent her so from Nebob. See you never stray, who'll nim you nice and nem the day. One hath just been a-reading, hath not one? Ya, in their memories of hirelings' puny wars, and so, gaga, of the O'Brien, the O'Connor, the MacLaughlin, and the McNamara, with some their appondage, of Sire Julius Caesar, that gamely torquemester, and his duo of druidesses and ready money rompers, and the trying for it of Oxyvius, Lapidus, and Malthouse Anthony. You may fail to see the lie of that layabout, Suetonia, but the reflections which recur to me are that so long as beauty, life is body love, and so bright as Mutua of your mirror holds her candle to your caudal, lone left hand likeless, sombering autumn of your spring, reck you not one spurt of any seed, whether Trigemeliman cuddle his coddle or no. She'll confess it by her figure, and she'll deny it to your face. If you're not ruined by that one, she won't do you any whim. And then, what after's it? Gruff gun may blow, gam gonna flow, the Gossens eye, the Jennings eye, from the butts of Heber and Heramon, Nolans, Volans, brood our pansies, broon in broom. There's a split in the infinitive from to have been, to will be. As they ward in their big innings ease, now we never shall know. Eat early earth apples, coax cobra to chatters. Hail, Hiva, we hear. This is the glider that gladdened the girl, that listened to the wind, that lifted the leaves, that folded the fruit that hung on the tree, that grew in the garden. Go, gave. Wide hiss, we're wizening, hoots from, we're globing. Why hidest thou hinder thy husband his name? Lada, lada, a flutter afraid, so does your girdle grow. Willed without witting, whirled without aimed. Papa passos, mama mane, war wets, wots, and who wits why. But it's tails for toffs and titties for totties, and buckets combats till delete. Dark ages clasp the daisy roots. Stop, if you are a Sally of the Allies. Hot off minowars and naval actiums. Picked engagements and banks of rowers. Please stop, if you're a BC minding missy. Please do. But should you prefer AD, step please, and if you miss with a venture, it serves you girly well glad. But holy Janus, I was forgetting the Blitzenkopfs. Here, Hengangst and Horsaus, take your heads out of that tail tub, and leave your henny hind you. Your henny hind you. It's haunted, the chamber of airings. Whone, tug, trace, stirrup. It is distinctly understouter that, since you 3 hands thighs put your 2-foot large time-pates in that dead wash of Loch Murph, and until such time pace one and the same measure the grinning statesmen Brock and Leon have shunted the grumbling counted totes, Starlin and Sir Arthur Guinness, foam is homely brew, be battled by bottle, gager de gager, bull Aegean bear, and the Berrigain bulligan. Grin, 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 grin. Staffs versus herds and bucks versus barks, by old Grumbledum's walls, bumps, bellows, and balls. Up moors down, up, ma. Rents and rates and tithes and taxes, wages, saves and spends. Hail up, taut span of peace. Live league of Lex, necks in the moors. Fas estas and for you. Impoverment of the boo-boo by the bauble for the bubble. So wrap up your worries in your woe, wum-pum-tum, and shake down the shuffle for the throw. For there's one more mere up for downfall Ned. As Anna Livia, shrewd shoplifter, and neither an or skidoos with her spoilets, to add gay touches, for hue and gay and goy and Jew, to dimpled and pimpled and simpled and wimpled, a peek and a poke and a pig in a pew. She wins them by ones, a hall hectoendicate, For Mangay, Mumbo, Jum, Jubes, Tack, Mutts, and Jeffs, Muchas, Bresalones, Gracias, Barcelonas. Oh, what a lovely free speech 'twas, tep, to gar how a lively hinter-grunting, tip, like the lilt of larks to bird and crocodile, or skittering lowing at that wheeze of old windbag bluster boss, blow-harding about all he didn't do. Hellier troop, with is the winker with the muckwicks of Willsey, and nith is the nod for the Emperor Napoleon, and hither is poor blonde piebald horse, Fierce, with his tricuspical Hall Berkhelm's coverchaff emblem on, for the man that broke the ranks on Monte St. John. The riddle of it, that is already with us ahead of schedule, which already is plan accomplished from insane. Daft Dathy of the 5 positions, the death race stop him, is still as reproaches Paulus on the Matterhorn and Entrechats and Hobnobs, daring Dunderhead to shiver his timbers, and Hannibal MacHamilton, the Heggerite, more live power elbow him. Minister building up as reproaches Timothy and St. Barmabrax. Number 32 West 11th Street looks on to that. May all in the to coming of the semper eternal spiel spry with it. Date 3 doloriferous, which more and over leafeth earlier than every growth, and elf-shot, head-a-wag, with frayed nerves wandering till they feel sore like any woman that has been born at all events to the porta, and for the how manyth and how movingth time, at what the demons in that jack-house that Jerry built for Massa and Mrs. and Hijo de Puta, the sparks on firmament of the staric feel go songing gong, where blows a anemone at each blink of windsiddle. They were sliding along, and sleeting aloof, and scouting around, and shooting about, all which while or wear a balloons, for good vaunty years Dagobert is in Clane's clean hometown, prepping up his preparatory and learning how to put a broad face bronzily out through a broken breeched material from Brian O-lining. Erin's hair, Herco-haired culletier. And as, these things being so, ere those things having done, way back home in Packeta, Albernia, untillably holy gamel ire, one world burrowing on another, if you got me, neighbour, if any large lumps geek, and got the strong of it. Stand fast our Topioco Sagon hero, or any other macother. Signs is on the belly goods Bastille back, bocked up with fullness, and silvering to her jubilee, birch leaves her jointure, our Lavian waving, visage full of fresh, and fat as a hen in the forehead, Ariane and blowy heart topsy-turvy, that royal pair in their palace of quickens bows, height to the goat encompasses. Phone number 1769, if you want to know. His sea arm strongs round her, her velly vole ain as shipwrecked, have discussed their things of the past, crime and fable with shame, home and profit, while Louis lied to lay, and Hun tried to kill Ham, scribbled the hobbles, in whose veins runs a mixture of our head bent and hard upon. Spell me the chimes, they are tales all told. Today is well thine, but where's may tomorrow be? But bless his cowly head and press his crankly hat. What a world's woe is each his other's weariness, waiting to bedroll his own properer mistakes. The back-slapping glad-hander, free of his florid future, and the other singing likeness, dirging a past of bloody altars, gale with a bloss to him, drove without gall, and she of the Gildaw's nest who tears up letterines she never opposed a pen upon, yet sung of love and the monster man. What's hiccuper to him, or her to Hagaba? Oaf, oaf, breathe kindly. Dog's vespers are an ending. Vesper till the abort bitter. God's shepherd quits his gabard cloak to sate with Beckus. Zumbach, achevre. Yet wind will be ere Fadervor, and the hour of Fromedy and Burgo-Bell, if Nippon have pearls or opals Eldorado, the dainty fish, the lecking out. Gip-hoo, good oil, for, hush, Maganty, long 'tis till gets bright that all cocks waken and birds Diana with dawn song hail. Aught darks, flower duskness, bats that, there peepee streeling, at Brannan's on the moor, at Tam Finnegans week, you'll yet his stills going strong. And still here is noctules, and can tell things a common on, by that fluffy feeling, large as loomy wheelhouse to bodge box lumber, up with hoodie herdsman Carawane, we keep his peace who follow his law, Sunday King. His 7-colored suit, Achonal, and his imponence, one heap lump block, Mogul, and rivers burst out like weaving race round joy drinks for the funerally, where every feasters of Foster's other, Fenians all, the welling breast, he willing giant, the mountain mourning his duggety dew, to obedient of civicity in Urbanius at felicity, what'll yet meek might with dippity nimber when he's head on pole and Peter's Burgess, and Miss Mishy Mushy is tip-topped by Taft. Bo bless Goblige, for as Anna was at the beginning, lives yet and will return, after great deep sleep re-rising, and a white night high with the cows of Dromheim, as shower as there's a wet and clouded in West Wicklow, or a little black rose a truant in a thorn tree. We dreams our dreams till Bappy returns, and sane anews. We will not say it shall not be, this passing of order and orders coming, but in the herbist country, and in the country around Blath, as in that city self of legions, they look for its being ever yet. So shuttle the pipers done, Erica boy, and it's time that all paid tribute to this massive mortality, the pink of punked perfection, as photography in mud. Some may seek to dodge the gobbet for its quantity of quality, but who wants to cheat the chokers got to learn to chew the cud. All which scrubs on scroll, circuminium and luminative, ecuniums here, and improperies there, with a pansy for the pussy in the corner. Be wise of Fanciola's heart, the heart of Fanciola. Even the recollection of willow fronds is a spellbinder that lets to hear. The rushes by the grey nun's pond, let me sigh too. Coleman's bell behoves you to handmake of the load. Jenny Wren, pick peck, Johnny Post, pack pock, all the world's in want and is writing a letters from a person to a place about a thing, and all the world's on wish to be carrying a letter to a king about a treasure from a cat. When men want to write a letters, 10 men, ton men, pen men, pun men, want to rise a ladder. And den men, dun men, fen men, fun men, hen men, hun men, when to raise a leader. Is then any letters day from many peoples? Dagana Sanovich, empire your outermost, a posy chord, please. We have wounded our way on foe, Tris Prince, till that force in the gill is faint affard, and the face in the tree bark feigns a fear. This is the rainstones ringing, strangely cold for this ceasing of the yore. But Erigorine is ever, pat price pan linear plop. If the oscillation of the onkring gives omen known, since all's war that end war, let sports be leisure and bring in by fair. Athclete, bless your Ballybath feet, town to quest, for to rest, the hour that highs is hurly, a hot for here's sake, a scene at sight, a dream on air, which they shall memorize, by her free written hopely for here that Anna Livia is scarce, for I that sums. Is it in the now wood wordings of our sweet plantation, where the branchings then will sing, 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 tomorrow's gone, and yester's outcome, as Saturday's after moon lex leap, smiles on the 12 months minding. Such is, dear, name of desired subject, A.N. Well, and I go on to Schlickshire. Aye, and we tender condolences for happy funeral, one if. So sorry too, mention person suppressed for the moment, F.M. Well, enquiries after all healths. How are you? Questioned Maggie, a lovely introduced to domestic circles. Persian of Kate's. Shropshire, those potooks mostly she hawks from Papa Vere Foster, but these curly McCools are of Mippa's moulding. Shropshire author. Waved gently in the air, turning over. Well, Mabby, consolation of Shopes, too soon air, with best from Cinder Christinet, Prince Chumming, can be when desires solely for as samples, back-fronted, or, if all, petrolio, or get my prize. Using her flower or perfume, or, if very, very, very chumming, in other words, who she supposed ideal, kissits my exits, schlick Shiruther, from Auburn Shenlemain. Pious and pure fair one, all has concomited to this, that she shall tread them life trees' leaves, whose silence hitherto has shone as sphere as silver, faster barnstone. That fount Barndusian shall play liquic music, and after odors sigh of musk. Blots blosh blowth, one dear that was, sleep in the water, drog at the fire, shake the dust off, and dream you're one who will give her side curls too. Till later Lammas is led in by a baith of our washwives, a weird of wonder tenebris as that evil Thorngarth, a field of fairy blithe as this flowing wild. Oh, a jour we come, ô thème de plume, et de coulemer la jacinthe, se plate dans la grosse. La pervenche in Illyrie, la Marguerite sur les ruines dénouement. Et pendant qu'un tour d'elles les villes hommes changent de maître et de nom, que plusieurs sont entrés dans le néant, que les civilisations se sont choquées et brisées, leurs paisibles générations ont traversé les dies et sont arrivées jusqu'à nous, fraîches et riantes comme aux jours des batailles. Margaritomancy, hyacinthus pervasiveness, flowers, a cloud. But Bruto and Cassio are aware only of trifid tongues, the whispered willfulness, 'tis demonal. And shadows multiplicating, il fossoletto, nel fossoletto, cal fazzolotto, dal fuzzolezzo. Toshians, quotients, they tackle their quarrel. Sycamoots so woeful sally, ancient Zaerger. and each way both wise glory signs. What if she loves Seeger less, though she leave Rome moan? That's how our oxygen has gotten a hold of half their world, moving about in the free of the air and mixing with the rock. Enten eller, either or, and, nay rather, with sobs for his job, with tears for his toil, with horror for his squalor, but with pep for his perdition. Lo, the poor plieth as the laird hireth him, born on beggins dels, and maturing daily gloriams. A flink dab for a freck dive, and a stern poise for a swift pounce, was frankly at the manual airth, sure enough which was the bee-case he knowed from his cradle. No bird better, why his fingers were giving him what for to fife with. First, by observation, there came boko and nigh him, wigworms, and nigh him, titleys, and nigh him, cheek-a-deek chimple, and nigh him, pickpocket with pickpocket pom, pickpocket point, pickpocket prod, pickpocket promise, and up with them. Holy Joe and lay Eden, and anyhows always after them the dimpler he weighed the fonder fell, he of his now four love-droid cardinals, his element cardinal Newman, and his eminent cardinal Maring, and his epulent cardinal Weiswash, and his eminent cardinal KOK. Always would he be reciting of them, hooches, up by rota, in his Fandin's catechism from first to last, quick march to December's, so as to pin the tenor's thumbs down, and anon in all days strews here there, would he while at creating him lumerous ways, K is counting in the scale of pin, puff, pive, piff, piff, puff, pive, poo, poo, puff, pive, pre, puff, pive, four, puff, pive, papive, nail, jewel, fraughty, on, enoch, thortig, and so on, like the pitch of your cap pack onto tin tall spillikins. To some Boris Pew, Nautus Pew, Eris Pew, Ziffer, ace, deuce, tricks, quarts, quims, mumpty play, of course, and carry to their whole number, while on the other hand, traduced by their comedy nominator to the low first terms of their eloquent parts, sexes, suppers, oglers, novels, and dice, he could find, the rake helly, by practice the value of thine to mine articles with no reminder for an equality of relations, and, with the helpings from his tables, improduce fulmen to trumblers, links unto chains, ways in Norfolk till Todds of Yorick, oozes ad libs in several Townsends, several hundreds, several to several imperious gallants into gales Irish, bringing all living stone a laughing down to grave cloth nails in the league of archers, fools and lurchers under the rude rule of thumb. What signifieth all that, but be all the prowess of 10? 'Tis as strange to relate he non-parial to read. Right and reckon, caught all meals dull marks for his nucleids in algebra. They wouldn't took bearings nohow anywheres. Oh, them dod hunters and Alanites, abs and bas for agnomes, yees and z's for ignates. Bates him up, Jerry Blee. Worse nor Herman Droria. Give you the fantods seem to him. They ought to told you every last word first, instead of trying every which way to kinder smear it out poison long. Show that the medium HCE-CHE-ECH intersecting at roid angles the paralegs of given obtuse one bis cuts both the arcs that are in curve accord behind. Brickbaths, the family Unbrolia, to Tullagrove pole to the height of County Fermanagh has a septane inclination, and the graph plot for all the functions in Lower County Monaghan, whereat something is revisible by nightem, may be involted into the zeroic couplet, pals pell in his heaventh like naughty times. Find, if you are not literally coefficient, how many combinacies and permutandis can be played on the international surd. His cubid root being extracted, taking an and illiterates, if at a time, answers for teasers only, 10, 20, 30, C, X, and 3 icky touchy ones. From solation to solution, imagine the 12 deferended dumballs of the whole above bugled to be the continuation through regeneration of the oratoration of the word in pregros. It follows that, if the 2 antecedents be Bicicletes, and the 3 consequentures trundletrikes, then Iseult-La-Belle be hidden on the footplate, big wiggler restant upsitonable, the NCR6 presents to us, tandem year at lasted length, an automatic turco-indico of pictorial shine by pictorial shimmer, so long as, gad of the g'day, pictorial summer, virid or revolved, lit's a sheen, but lens-a-lack, lens-a-lot. If this habby cyclic redor be outrageously inviolated by a Merlin round table turning, like nuts in maize, the zitters running hair and dart with the yeggs in their muddle, like the 7 of wingless arrows, hodgepodge, thump, kick, and hurdy. Oh, boy, more Mrs. Blong him. He race quick feller, all same hoggle piggle, longer house blong him, while the catched and dodged exarch seems him or temeously to beam. He wins her hand, he falls to tail, the erst latest man, and ooh-hoo and ooh-hud, the lowest farce on error-roots, 2-legged ponies and 3-handled dorkies, marahoy, morahoy, lugahoy, jagahoy, ahoy, ahoy. MPM brings us a rain-born pantomimium equivalent to cat my dogs if I bain't this ding-bushed like everything. Kakis toiste votes, ix toiste votes, keimen in votes, Dection votes, cash dection votes, sightsum in votes, goosey votes, vichy votes, Nellia votes, Colmy votes, Coxy votes, Disky, Alathala accumulated, caravan series to the finish of Helve's fractures. In other words, 1 from 5, 1 from 5's 2, 2 from 5's 1's, millimills with a mill, and a half a mill and 2 5's of bully clavers. For a surview over all the factionables, see Iris in the Evenane's world. Binomians to be comprehended, inaccessible as thy by Godways, the aximonies and their prostrelutes. For his neuralgia brown equals AOSCH PTLOATO. So begad. After those initials falls, and that primary tincture, as I know and you know yourself, begath, and the Arab in the ghetto knows better, by Nettis, or any mead or person, comic cuts and series, exercises, always were to be capered in Casey's Frost Book of, page torn on dirty, to be hacked at Hickey's, Huxler, Wellington, Iron Bridge, and so, by long last, as it would shuffle out, must he to trump adieu, a tote de toes, to those card in hands he a big deal missed. Rad McCrees and Ross Cullinans, and Blagpipes and Soot Clover. Dear hearts of my counting, would he revoke them for wheel to pack numbers, and by the time being no help for't, plates to lick one and turn over. Problem ye first, construct an equilateral triangle, problem, with his primo handstow and his sole salivarium, concocting equiangular triliter, on the name of the tizzer and of the tongs and off the mathematical tripods. Beat soon. Can you nae do her, nom? Asks Dolph, suspecting the answer no. I can't, can you, ninny? Asks Kev, expecting the answer guess. Nor was the gnawer long disappointed, for easiest of kisshams, he was made vice wise. Och, tell it to ye, do, Sam. Well, 'tis oil thusly. First mull a mugful of mud, son. Aglors, the virtuoso praise, alorum. What the deevy would I do that for? That's a goosey's ganser you're forgiving me, he is told. What the diva would you do that for? Now, Snow Royal Road to Puddlin. Take your mutt for a first beginning, big to bog, back to back. Any little mud which cometh out of man will do, I guess, A1, amnium instar. And to find a locust for an alp, get a houth on her haste, on her bearings as a prismio, and for a second, unbox your compasses. I can, but are you able? Amicably nod. Good, so let's set off between us. Prompty, mux your pistony at a point of the coast map to be called a but pronounced Alpha. There's the Isle of Mun. Ah, oh, 'tis just. Bene, now, hole an apple pine Erdor. For husk hisk spirit spires, Dolph, dean of idlers, meagre suckling of green girt stone, though Berkeley a Balbo's boy, he too. Venite preteriti sine mori domque deentibus nasciatoris decentius in lingua romana mortuorum parva chartula liviana ostinditur. Sedentes in letiete super olis carnium, spectantes imo situm lutitie onde auspicis, secundus tante consergent humane stirpis, antiquissimum flaminum arboreum Jordani, ad jam Baptiste mentibus revolvimus sapientium, totum tute fluvi modo mundo flare, edem quae ex ager fututa fure, iterum interim, alvium for futura, quod libet sisse ipsum per aliudpium, agnosir contrarium, omnum demon amnum ripus rivalibus amplicti. Recurrently often, when him moved, he would cake their chair, coached, rebellium tending mics of his same, and over his own quirage at Back Lane University, among of which pupil swaves and pizdrue was pulled up, bred and bartered for $1 chancing letters for them vice versa to bronze mots, and plenching streams for him in troubadours and double-cressing twofold throofs, and devising tingling tale words to wireless, content that another would finish his sentence for him. He druider would smile a bit eggways, Ned. He, to don't say nothing, would so prim, and pick upon his 10 ordinaire uncles, trying to undo with his teeth the knots made by his tongue, retelling himself by the math hour, long as he's brewed a reel of funnish ficts upon the she, how Faust of all, and on second thoughts, and the thirds to charm him, girl o' love, and furthermore, and filthily, with a bag from Oxitown, and baroxidants, and proper accidents, and hop to hill, and hexen shoes, in fine, the whole damning letter. And, in point of feat, when he landed in Ireland's Leinster, of saved in solemn nonis, with a twice became time, off Lipton's strong-bowed launch, the Lady Eva, in a tan soat of sails he converted its natives, name saints, young orgnads, madder heads and old unguished PT publicans, through the medium of snigsnacks with sauteric zeal, to put off the Barcelonas from their pecaminous corpulums, gratings, Mr. Dane, and kiss on their butts, master, as often as they came within bloodshot of that other familiar temple, and showed him the Celestine way, to by his Tristan, and his flop hattrick, and his perihumdrum dum and num nostrums, that he learned in Himbuktu. And that some Galera man cultus is very prevalent up to this windiest of land have miseries all over what was before a boots a land of nods, in spite of all the blut, all the brame, all the brawn, all the brile, that was shod, that was shat, that was shock all the while, for our massingry of moss-hungry people, though the wicker works, still hold forward to their healing, and by leaving the old weights down upon the Swanee, innovated by him, the Prince de Propagandi, the chrism for the Christmas, the pillar of the perished, and the rock o' real reality. And it is veritably belied, we belove, that not all sods of Iseult-La-Belle that's in the Queen's pottage post, and not all fine soft green gold that the Indus contains, would over-induce them, O.P., to steeple change back once from their office workship, and twice on Sundays, to their ancient flash and crash habits of old pals time, ere beam slewed cable, or there's hair, live wire, fired Benjamin Funkling out of the Empire, sin right-hand son, which Como, having listened curefully to the interlooking and the underlacking of her 29 shifts, or his continental's curses, pummel, apostrophized, burns and flammings and furnaces and Bill Hayeses and Edishley Halts, ha, they, T-A-W, sick or whole, stiff or sober, let drop as a doom body drops, without another Ostrov God's word either ways, in their own lineal descendants, as Priesto as Puddywhack, colon, and, as we gang along to Gigglehouse, talking of moniacs, manias, and missions for maids, to scotch the schlang and leathercoats for Murty Magdies. Of course this has blame all in all the Mediterranean world to say, to blessed by the pointer of graces, his private judgments, when so to put it, disparito, desparudo, desperado, despertu, or saving his presence for his own one friend beverage, con the sovereign. But to return for a moment from the reptile's age to the coxswain on the first landing, page Anna Livia, if the pretty lady Elizabeth's Hotel de Ruines, she laid her bat sleeve for him to true veers tell love, on the Ides of Valentino's, at idleness floods area, isolated, lives lonely daughter, with the comes tikiami of prima vista, abroad suddenly, and beauty alone of all dare say when now, uncrowned, deceptored, in what niche of time is she, or where in the rose world trysting, that was the belle of La Chapelle, shapely Liselle, and the peg of my heart of all the Tampull, or on whose limbs to lave her semi-cupious eyes, now kindling themselves, are brightening. O she who then, 432 MP old time, to be precise, according to all three doctors Waterburys, that was MacAuliffe, and poor Macbeth, and poor McGimley's, to the tickle-ticks of the synchronisms, all louchening a time also confirmed 7 syncuries, later by Quatrin Medical Johnny, poor old McAdoo MacDollet, with notary, whose presence was required by law of divine foresight and decretal of the Doge, who after first compliments met darkest daylight, gave him then that vantage of a Blenkinscope's cuddle bath at her proper mitts, if she then, the then that matters, but Señor, she could never have forefelt, as she yet will feel, when the love next breaks out, such a cold douche as him, the totterer, the four flights the charmer, doubling back in now time, bimby when saltwater he wash him these islands, o allures. To mount miss the woods of Fogloot, under that chemiste fair in a vartry-proof name, Mota Lucy, would it wash, with a cheek white peaceful as, when shall say, a single professed Clare's, and his wash-a-wash tub, and his diagonalsers lamplick, to pure where they were hornest girls, to buy her in parjour, if you play, non-con-tunk for the simper, and other dual maverneens in plurable numbers from Arklow Wicklow to Louth Superluck. Come, messes, come, mammas, come, mams, and touch your spot price, for 'twas he was the born suborner man, on behalf of an oldest ablest firma of winemakers. Lagrima and Jamiti, later on his craft ebbing, invoked by the un-Irish title, Grindings of Nash, the one and only, eunuch bar none, of St. Ives by Lance and Cornswer, man. Shit me silver, it must have been fa. A terrible mav room of own, to cynamite up the old Adam he used to, such a finally, and that's flat as tut's fut, or whaw go whoo, the poor girl, a lonely Peggy, given the bird, so insulated as Crampton's pear tree, she shall yearn bitter bed by the sweet of her face. And short wonder so many of the Tom, Dick, and Tarry members in all their subsequent ages of our democracy tipped to console with her at her mirable grace the window hut, till the Ives of man, the O'Neills and the O'Prayans and the O'Hyans of Loughlinstown, and the O'Hallerans of Stany Batter, Holly boys all, Bury ripe, who'll buy, and Julietry and Kicky Shawses, and mad ornaments, and that's not the finish of it, what it were, but to think of him foundling on Leliza the second. Also crypt bust, the best was still there if the torso was gone, where he did and when he did retrieve her to the last. Escapes my forgetness now, was it dust-covered, nom de lieu, on laps or street on down, through, for, or from a foe, by with as on a friend, at the rectory, Vicarage Road, Bishop's Folly, Papesthorpe, after picket fences, stone walls, outs and inns for oxers, for merry a falsehood whispered he to many a lillying earling, and to the try to analyze that ambos pair of bracelines, awkward the Rolion trying to a marmaw of that Meesher's bearded but insensible virility, and its gallish moustaches, damned and groaned into her limited, tough way to espitre, laps at the same slaps for toweling ends in their delightful sex home, somehow at sea. Oh, little oily head, sloper's brow, and prickled ears, as though he, a notoriety, a foist edition, were a regular rider neo-novine babe. Where, dire mewy and granu, and ve vinctus, if that is what l'amour, that of gentle breast wrath, is intaken, seems circling toward out yondest, it's life that's all chokered by that batch of grim rushers. Heaven help his hindmost, and mark mo, if the so greatly displeased the autumns in the St. Lubbock's Day number of that most improving of round shows, Spice and West End Woman, utterly exhausted before publication, India Pepper edition shortly, are for our indices, it begins to appear like it par my fay, and there is no use for your pastry preaching for to cheese it either, or praying fresh blood claspers of young Catholic throats on Huggin Green to take warning by the prispast. Why, by cows, man in shirt is how he is piu lagana and mobile, and they wanna do it, and you could peep inside the cerebralized saucepan of this here ill-winded good-for-nobody. You would see in his house of thought, Sam, was you, that is, decontaminated enough to look discarnate, what a jetsam litterage of convolvuli of times lost or strayed, of lands derelict and of tongues lagging too, long a yams a yore. Not only that, but searching, lighting, beached, bashed, and bow-shelled, a la mer far ahead into futurity. Your own convolvulus pickaninnig capman would reel to jazz to fancy the novo taking place of what stale words whilom were woven with, and fitted fairly featly for so, and equally so, the crame of the whole Faustian fustian, whether your lawners lightsome or your soured schwermood, it is that, when as the swift-shut scariest of our pupil teacher taught duplex will hark back to lark to you symbolically, that, though a day be as dense as a decade, no mouth has the might to set a mere bound to the march of a landsmarl, in half a syllable, half a soul, half a salve onward, the beast of boredom, common sense, lurking gyrographically down inside his loose eating SS collar, is going of whist to the sternly how. Plutonic lovely axe twinked, platonic yearlings, you must, how, in undivided reality, draw the line somewhere. Cosist, your parn, you make what name? And in truth, as a poor soul is between shift and shift, ere the death he has lived through becomes the life he is to die into, he had all but, he was rickets as to reasons, but the balance of his minds was stables, lost himself or himself some somnions supionis, so switch, so forever swetch, had he or he gazed, Murphy come, Murphy go, Murphy plant, Murphy grow, a Maria Amelia Murphys in the lazily eye of his lapis. Vies von Dvoblin, 'twas one of those dreams, a darkie's ding in the wood, the turnpike under the great elm with Meering stone in foreground. Give it now, Anne Lynch, you take an all, allow me. And heaving all jaw-breakical expressions out of old Sir Isaac's universal of specious arithmetic, unsaid. A is for Anna like L is for live. Ah ha ha ha, Auntie Anne, you're apt to ape Auntie Anne alive. Dawn gives rise, lo, lives love. Eve takes fall, la, laugh, leaves alas. Ay, Auntie Anne, we're last to the last, loo. 'Tis perfect. Now, lends your dappled ye here, mine's presbyoperian, shield and wall. We see the coping ink straight line A-L in fig the forest. From being continued, stops at Lambday, Mother Island there too. Allow me on shore. I bring down Noth and carry all. Now, then, take this in. One of the most memorable loose corollaries ever Alice through his cooking glass, with Olaf as centrum in Olaf's lamb-tail for his spokesman circumscript the cyclone. Allow her hoop as round the calf of an egg. Oh dear me now. Another grand discobily. After make fearsome's ocean, you've actuary and tucked one. Quock. Why, you haven't a passer. Fantastic. Early clever, surely doomed to Swift's, alas, the gal hoose. Match of a matchness, like your big dud dadder in the vaudeville song, Grotsky Gulliver's troubles, rocking his flavorite Turkvu in the smocking precincts of Lydia's, with Mary Owens and Dolly Monks seasidling to edge his cropulence, and Blake Roche, Kingston and Dockrell, all assenting him from affairs, our Papa Capatl, Abraham Bradley King, ting ting, ting ting, by his magma scene fall, lumps, lavas and all, bene, but thunder and turf, it's not all over yet. One recalls Byzantium. The mystery repeats itself to date as our callback mother Gaudiana, that was daughter to a tanner, used to sing, as I think now and then, continuously over her posset pot in her queer homologous homon bass, Hesterdy and Isterdy forever. Vanissus vanistatums, and for a night of our thoughts and yours and a day. As great Shakespeare puns it, in effect, I remember from the years gone by, per little mur of mine hind, so she used indeed, when she give me the Sunday clouths she hung up for Tate in coming, and snuffed out the ghost in the candle at his old game of Hunt the Sleeper. Faithful departed, when I'm dreaming back like that, I begins to see we're only all telescopes, or the Commialium sands, like when I droamed I was in Derry and was walking up with Thump in the Thother town. Rest in peace, but to return. What a wonderful memory you have, too. Twonderful morrowy, straordinaire. Bene, I bring town and curry nothing up my sleeve. Now, springing quickenly from the mudland louche from Lockin with all him as her elder tetra turn a somersault. All's fair on all fours, as my instructor unstrict me. Watch, and you'll have the whole inkle. Allow, gyro, tondo, hop la la, as umpty hirum as you seat. Oh, dear me, that was very nice indeed, and makes us a daintical pair of accomplices. You, Alice, for the kunst, and me for umthing with an handle to it. Baby, now, as will presently be felt, there's few tricklesome points where our twain of doubling by circulars, mating approximately in their sweet poi and poi, done loop into each the ochre. Lucy, here, I fee where you are. Me, the double-viewed seeds, none, them a squatch, vide per voice axiom. I think as I'm squeezing the lemon, stick me punctum, but for seminal rations I'd like long by Araxes to mak a capital P for pride down there on the bottom, where Hodham and Heave, our monster bilker, balked his bawd of parodies. And let you go, Arminius, and mick your modest mock pie out of humbles up your end, where the apoxogesis will be a point of order, with a gang-grown grunt and a croak-click-cluck, and my faceage kink and kirkle trying to make keek peep. Are you right there, Michael? Are you right? Do you think you can hold on by sitting tight? Well, of course, it's awful, Angelus. Still, I don't feel it so dangelous. I am right here, Nickel, and I'll write. Singing the top line, why, it suits me mighty fine. But yag hags, hogwarts, and araquinanthians, it's the muddest stick that was ever heard dump since Eggsmather got smothered in the plap of the fan. Now, to complete anglers, beloved Bronthearn, and Hostokin Hishtakach, join Alpha-Pia and pull loose by Dottie's hand, to be more sparametically logoical,
eel pie and pale ale by trunkles. Allow me a line while I encloud a species. The Nike done it, like pa I pay, innate little bondery, and as plain as a poke stiff. Now aqua imboke it. I'll make you to see figuratively the home of your eternal geomatter. And if you flung her headdress on her from under her high-lows, you'd wheeze wise Salmonson set his seal on a hexen gown. Hiss! Ara, go on. Finn for fun. You've spat your shower like a son of Sibernia, but let's have at it. Sub-10 to me now, pisk. Outer circumstances being equalled, we carefully, if she pleats, lift by her seam hem and jab out at the spitziest of her trickicant, like thousands done before since Philly's capered. O cone, the maid's apron of our ALP, fearfully, till its nether nadir is vortically where, allow me a right to 2 cute winkles, its navel's napex will have you B&B. You must approach near mere, for at is dark, lob, and light your match, jelly. And this is what you'll say. Pwah! Sploose, plah! And there, redneck, for hadn't we to gay at sea with Pew the punker's bell? Meekin thigh, the living spit of dead waters, fastness firm from hurtlebury fen, distinct and iso-plural in it, your sow to the double, sixuous parts, frumant, fluvian, flutius, midden wedge of the streams, your muddy old triagonal delta, fee-ho-me-ho, plain for you now, Appia, Lippia, Pluvaville, hop the hula girls, the no-niggard spot of her safety vulve, first of all, usquilutero triangles, and why wouldn't she sit crest-logged like on the last that lured the tailor, a constant of fluxion, Mahama Wetma, pride of the province, and when that titled boar rushes up from the Afrantic, Aleph quarrins his betten beer. Pa, lickum, la, lickum, apple lippa, and it is an her, you see her it, which it whom you see it is her, and if you could go an egg better, we'd soon see some raffin scrumula riffa, quicks herit faciending queff. So post that to your pape and smark it, and you can haul up that languor pennant, mate. I've read your tungsten message. For let it be taken that her littleness is of no magnitude, or again let it be granted that thou the laziest can be dissimulant with all respects from thou the fiercest. Thence must any what you like in the power of empthood be either greater than or less than the unitate we have in one, or hence shall the victorious ready eyes of ever two circumflexorant circulars never film in the ellipsities of her gyrabouts, those fickers which are returnally reproductive of themselves. Which is unpassable. Corollary, the logos of some womb to that base anything, when most characteristically mantissa minus comes to nullum in the nth. Or so, here is now it's badder than the sin of Aha with his cousin Lil. Verse wised on the covers wised, and all that's consequence and contingencies, till perp stops fripping him, since her rectangles are all abscissin, for limiting this tendency of our frivoltini sexuagissima to expense herself as fair as possible, paradismic perimeter, in all directions on the bend of the unbridled, the infinitesimals of her facets becoming manier and manier as the colliculum of her undescribables. One has thoughts of the eternal Rome, shrinks from shirtiness to shirts. Scholium. There are tryst sides to every sing, but ix on the freed brings ukes to the feared. Qued, mother of us all. Oh, dear me, look at that now. I don't know, is it your spectre or my omination, but I'm glad you dimensioned it. my lord, if that ain't just the beatin'est lay I ever see, and a superb position, quite a coincidence. Okay, omnius collidimus, as all over Cromwell's side when he slept, you were the granny a mother, kangaroo's feathers. Who, in the name of thunder, ever believin' you were that boat? But you're wholly mooxed and gaping up the wrong pulse if you was seeing the geist that stays forenenst, you blessed simple-top dumb fool. Where's your blessed loiterin's lamp? You must lap wander it down the bluishing reflection below. Her trunk's not her brain box. Here where the bogie lines. Ye seen here the puncture. So he done it. Luck. See her good. Well. Oh dee, that's very lovely. We like simper speech, Hamiltons, to fellow Silvertones, O'Hagans. When he rolls over his R's and shows the heights of his heels, very lovely entirely, like a yang sheep slang with the Spitzenzy. So analytical plausible, and be the powers of Mal Kelly, neighbour topsawyer, it will be a lozenge to me all my life. More better too, feller, we been speak copperads. Ever thought about Guinnesses and the regrettable Parson Rome's advice? Want to join the police? You know you were always one of the bright ones, since a foot made you an unmentionable fakes. You know, you're the diver's own smart gossoon, equal to yourself and wannagle to angly other. So you are, hoax. You know, you'll be damned, so you will, one of these invernal days, but you will be, carity. Where a poo, gay at that, when he stopped look time, he stopped long ground. Who here heardy he would have ever the lost word, with a sweet me ear Marie to read from the Jacobs, and a ship pull for tooth's sake of his arm jaws at the slide page of De Vere Foster. Would and could candy kissing peak heaven to fress up the Rinnerung and to ate by heart. Leo, I read, such a Spanish escribus, all your myoscopes. Want to nibble, ravenostonorously, is mum to me in bewonderment of his chipper chuther, for while that other, by the help of his creative mind, offered to deliberate the mass from booty to fight our same with the hope of the bounty of food, sought to deliberate the mess from the corruptive mund with his muffety cuffs, unconsciously graphicking with his sinister cyclops after trigomies and spirals, wobbles pursuing the roving Hamilton selves, the Godolphing in fair love, to see around the waist of Nolan's brown Jesus thur him no quarros, till that on him pouring sweat the juggler's veins, quench his quill, in his Napier scrag stud, and burst right tamquan taut ropes. Spry him, call a blood liquor, where's Dr. Brass and Arse? Eswar it was in his priesterite, oh, he must suffer from this misbelieving feastmaker to his non-credible fancy flame. Asks for Bosthoon, late for mass. Pray for blah, blah, black sheep. Sure you could write any pip-at passage, I bet as fine as that multi-lousy earwig yourself, Mick. Knock the muddy knickers. Christ Church versus Belial. Dear he went on to scripple gentleman born, milady bred. He would pen for her, he would pine for her. How he would pat pun fun for all with his frolicky frowner so, and his gloomsome grinner other so. And how are you, Waggy? My animal his sorrow fool. And Trieste, ate I my liver. Se non è vero son trovatore. Oh, Jerry, he was so Harry at all. He was sad fellow, Stifle. He was Mr. Mysterian, like a curate out of pensionee with a government job. Oh, moan day, tears day, wails day, thumps day, fright day, shatter day, till the fear of the law. Look at his twitches. He was kiss floored on his plank raft of shittim wood. Look at him, sink deeper, touch not the Cartesian spring. Want more ashes, griper? How dismal he was lying low on his raw side, laying siege to Goblin Castle. And besouts that, how high in his mail he was, laying him long on his loft side, lying sacked to Croak Partridge. Be thou war's Rolof's intestines, quoths the Bhagavat Biscop Leech. An ops tipu sunir. An ops tipu sunir. If you could me lend till my Pascal's candle, sahib, and the price of a plate of poultice, punct, with best apologies and merry money thanks to self for all the clericals, and again begs guerdon for trespassing on your munificence. Well, wiggy wiggy wagtail, and how are you, Yaggy, with a capital T for thirst, from here Bouvard to dear Picouchet, blot. Now, peel your eyes, my gins, and brush your satin hat, me elementator Joyclid, son of a butt. She's mine, jowlow jure, be skibberings eagles, sweet tart of white knees archway. Watch him having caught at the bifurcating caliumum in his bowsillows, the one like underwarp he had ever fun it without difficultads, the abosh of quick, signing away in happy next complete, exquisite game of inspiration. I always adored your hard. So could I too when without the scrope of a pen, or for oral, key for crib, ochi for a lunge ad lib. Can you write us a last line from Smith Jones Orbison, entreatedly in years, Jurialim paloop, and I, Romaine, hope you been good girl, uns always my thoughts. To fall there at bare feet, hurry as warmoros, 2 days of one rafflement, each beniek, outstamp and distribute him at the expanse of his society, to be continued. Anon. And ook, thank ye. All the caricatures in the dream. This is how San holy pools, and this, Pardonsky, is the way Romeo pull-ups. Pose the pen, man. Way me does. Way old Miss Bellatooth first show me how. Fourth power to her ilpog. Bold strokes for your life. Tip. This is steel. This is bark. This is starn. This is schwipped. This is Wiles. This is Pshaw. This is Dobrlin Bay Yates. This is brave Danny weeping his speech for the paupers. This is cool Connolly wiping his hearth with brave Danny. And this regard how Chaurus is skewered Paraneligos between brave Danny Boy and the Connolly. Up in Shadem, top, spoken hath Larty McGorry, ergo brog, pro. And Kev was wreathed with his potter. But that Jacoby feeling again for forbidden fruit, and, my gorgeous, Kevy too, he just loves his puppedoms, I judge. After all his autocratic writings of parables, and family curds and medleyed muddlingisms, the Faruts have kuchar and eight citron, wouldn't one able rep of the tripoforator all right blast through his Pergaman hit him where he lived, and do for the blessed self-churls what I think smarter like it done for a many another unpious of the hairy darly quandary firstlings, till at length you one bloody bragger by mercy stroke he measured his earth anyway, could not but reckon in his adder's bad or catter way our Frankson, who, to be plain, he fights him all time 2 feller longa kill dead finish bloody face blong you was Miss O'Kane. When Swans won, Rip, and his counting hands rose. For Melissa,
love's death house simple. Slutning's vain. Thanks ever so much, point carried. I can't say if it's the weight you strike me to the quick, or that red mass I was looking at, but at the present momentum, potential as I am seeing raying bogies rings round me. Honours to you, and may you be commended for our exhibitiveness. I'd love to take you for a bugaboo ride and play fun for all, if you'd only sit and be ballasted bottle in the porker bar. You will deserve a roly-poly as long as from here to tomorrow, and to hell with them drift bombs and bottom trailers. If my Mailie was bag enough, I'd send you a Toxis. By Saxon Chromaticus, you done that lovely for me, didn't he now, Nubelina? Tiny mite, she stood here 'twas, with her listening in coiffure, her dream of Ensland's day last, and the glorifiers of being presented maid to majesty. And less is the pity, for she isn't the lollipop she easily might be if she had for a sample Virginia's air of achievement. That might keep her from throwing Delph. As I was saying, while retorting thanks, you make me a reborn of the cards. We're awfuls, boys and bows, for I've ficked up all the crams as they crumbled from your tableum, singing Gloria Allelosarum. Cog it out, here goes a sum. So read we in Must book, it tells, he profits most who bilks the best. And that salubrated Sicanior of yours have tea spilled all my hazy dency. Forge away, sunny sim, sheep shop blearing gold, it is the least of things I insty. Imagine it, my deep darty dullard, it is ours giving, not more. I'm only out for celebrating over the guilt of the gap in your hesitancy. You are 100,000 times welcome, old wart sampler, howbeit you're just about as culpable as my woeful merger would be. In effect, I could engage in an argument over you till you were republicly, royally, tubally, Prussic blue in the shirt after. Triumphante di bestia. And if you're not bloater's kipper, may I never curse again on that pint I took of Jameson's. Old Keen now, your rod, hook, and sinker. Old Jubilee Keen, Biddy's hair, mine lubber. Where is that queen but she knows it not, but what you that are, my popular emphasis, were born with a silver arm up your sleep. Thou in shanty, thou in scanty shanty, thou in slanty scanty shanty, bide in your hush, do. The law does not allow you to shout. I plant my penstock in your postern chiner pots. Ave, and let it be to all remembrance. Vale, avocation of maiding waters, for auld lang salvi stain. I defend you to champ my scullion's praises. To book alone belongs the lobe. 4 masters' mead will mark tomorrow when we are making pill scrummage to Wabogarian. With staff, scarf, and blessed wallet, and our aureoles round our neck and crops, whereas and when heavy skew scar daddy, parent who offers sweetmeat, will gift uns his noblet surprise. With his laudable purpose and loud ability, let us be single-fied. Betwixt me and thee, Hong Kong, item, Mizpah ends. But why the dial are they dawdling over the mugs and the grubs? Oiki and Postolopolis, steady, studiavimus, many, mangiacabimus. We've had our day at Triv and Quad and writ our bit as intermediates. Art, literature, politics, economy, chemistry, humanity, etc. Duty, the daughter of discipline, the great fire at the South City markets, belief in giants in the Banshee, A place for everything and everything in its place. Is the pen mightier than the sword? A successful career in the civil service, the voice of nature in the forest, your favorite hero or heroine on the benefits of recreation, if standing stones could speak, devotion to the feast of the indulgence of Portiuncula. The Dublin Metropolitan Police sports at Bowlsbridge. Describe in homely Anglian monosyllables the wreck of the Hesperus. What morals, if any, can be drawn from Diarmuid and Grania? Do you approve of our existing parliamentary system? The uses and abuses of insects. A visit to Guinness's brewery. Clubs. Advantages of the penny post. When is a pun not a pun? Is the co-education of animus and anima wholly desirable? What happened at Clontarf since our brother Jonathan signed the pledge, or the meditations of two young spinsters? Why we all love our little Lord Mayor, Hengler's Circus Entertainment, on thrift, the Kettle Griffith Moynihan scheme for a new electricity supply. Travelling in the olden times, American lake poetry, the strangest dream that was ever half dreamt, circumspection. Our allies the hills, our Parmalites just towards Henry Tudor. Tell a friend in a chatty letter the fable of the grasshopper and the ant, Santa Claus, the shame of slumdom, the Roman pontiffs and the Orthodox churches, the 30-hour week. Compare the fistic styles of Jimmy Wilde and Jack Sharkey. How to understand the deaf. Should ladies learn music or mathematics? Glory be to St. Patrick. What is to be found in a dust heap? The value of circumstantial evidence. Should spelling? Outcasts in India. Collecting pewter. Proper and regular diet necessity 4. If you do it now. Delays are dangerous. Vita vitae, gabble and tea, set season off, mock soonly will be in a split second per the chancellery of his exchequer. On, do, try, car, cush, she, shocked, oct, ni, gig. Their feed begins. Night letter. With our best Yule-tide greetings to Pep and Memmy, and the old folkers below and beyond, wishing them all very merry incarnations in this land of the living and plenty of prosperousness through their coming new yonks. From Jake, Jack, and little Susie, the babes that mean too. And so ends Book 2, Chapter 2.